Hello, my name is Tosif. I'm 25 years old and I am making this video after several attempts of failing to make this video to kind of talk about a little bit my mistakes and my shortcomings and how I have not been able to overcome them in the past. And I'm making this video as a way to kind of vent and hold myself accountable and make a promise to myself that I will no longer punish myself for making mistakes or having shortcomings. In the past, I have made a lot of mistakes and I've done a lot of things that I'm not proud of or have had shortcomings for goals, and I've punished myself for them. And that is recently, that is as of, basically since as long as I can remember, things I did in high school that I'm not proud of, or stuff I said in high school, or the way I may have treated people, a lot of stuff, and never really fully truly apologizing for those things and making people uncomfortable, and just doing things that were not right because everyone else did them, or because I was peer pressured to do them, and so I thought it was okay. And doing those things, just essentially never really apologizing because I always felt bad for them. And so I essentially began to punish myself for those mistakes, and I began to isolate myself. I have done that for a very long time now, and I have punished myself for that, and I have punished myself for not reaching whatever goals I have meant to reach. And because of that, I am in essentially a never ending cycle of depression and anxiety and not being able to reach my goals. And then I punish myself for that, or I make a mistake, or I do something I'm very frustrated about. And so then I am stuck in a never ending loop or a never ending cycle of the same stuff over and over again. And so essentially I'm always back to square one. And over the past 6 months to a year, I've been thinking, wow, I have these same goals for myself when I'm 25 as I've had since I was 20. So when I was 20 years old, I had the same goals that I have now, and I haven't achieved any of them. Why is that? I think the fact is that I never gave myself a fair shot to achieve those goals because I always punished myself when I didn't achieve them, or if something happened, I allowed it to derail me completely. And that has kind of not allowed me to evolve and kind of ruined my development as a person. You know, as a human being, we all evolve and we all continue to strive to get better and be better versions of ourselves. And one of my goals, obviously, I want to be rich and travel the world and be super healthy and, you know, be fit and be good looking, all of which I'm still working towards. But my biggest goal is to just be a good person. However, I feel like I can't really achieve that goal if I am always very pessimistic and I'm always very negative, and I kind of continue to put myself down and belittle myself over things like not reaching my goals, or, you know, making mistakes, or, overthinking everything. So my mindset shift essentially has been, over the past few months, being more optimistic about things, and stopping punishing myself over things that I've done in the past, and things that I continue to do, and goals that I can't reach it, or I don't reach, or I reach them and they take longer than I thought, or they take longer than I thought, and I get frustrated or I get upset because of that. How can I stop punishing myself? Well, I think the first thing I did, or I have done, is be more optimistic. And rather than doing the process of where I just completely overthink about everything so hard for weeks or months at a time. And when I'm done overthinking, I just become numb and I lock that away and I try to never remember it again. And I just say, screw it. I need to feel these things and I need to analyze them and I need to realize why I feel like that and what has happened to me. I need to analyze, compartmentalize, evaluate, allow myself to feel these things, allow myself to feel sad, upset, happy, whatever it may be, but then also grow from it and learn from it and try to become a better person. And when I think back to why I feel this way and why I am this way, I think a lot of it is obviously my childhood and me being a people pleaser and me being bullied and all the traumatic stuff that I saw growing up, you know, at school or whatever, me being bullied, and then stuff wasn't the best at my at home, and I didn't have very many friends, and so I basically started to crave external validation or external uh, attention from people. And one of the ways that I knew that was obviously being like a class clown or making fun of myself or making fun of my culture, right? And I used to do that. And I thought that that would make me friends or that people would laugh. And so then people would like me. However, I kind of realized that people weren't really laughing with me, they were laughing at me. So although my goal was to make friends, I kind of did the opposite because I just attracted people that, yeah, they may join my company every once in a while and I may like them. They weren't really my friends. And so when that realization hit, it hit me like basically like a brick wall because I realized I'm not really friends with any of these people. None of these people really care about me at all. But I've essentially embarrassed myself to the max. And so I began to basically go back into my shell and became very introverted again. And so nowadays, like I have for the past few years, I'm very introverted. I'm very self conscious. I always think, what are people thinking of me? How does this person think of me? Does this person like me? And for example, when I meet a new person, I'm never going to introduce myself, even at work. If there's someone new that starts, or if I see someone for the first time, I won't ever go and say hi. I wait for them to introduce themselves or wait for someone else to introduce them to me, and then I'll introduce myself. And, you know, I'm not very confident, very insecure, and very introverted. Once you get to know me, I feel like, yeah, you break my shell. I can become very extroverted and I'm funny and I like to crack jokes or I like to think I'm funny and I like to crack jokes and I like to make people laugh. But getting getting me to that point can take a while. And I think that's because I have punished myself and I have not allowed the possibility or the thought of the possibility of me to allow for myself to grow after my shortcomings and after my mistakes. And so I basically intentionally or unintentionally, whichever way it really is, have prohibited myself from reaching my goals over and over again and becoming the person that I really want to be and doing the things that I really want to do. And I am trying to essentially reframe my mind and reframe the way that I think because that's the only thing that I can do. People may care, and there are a lot of people out there that I do feel like care for me and love me and etc. But at the end of the day, they can't really do anything for me as much as they try. I'm the only one that can do that. And so I want to become a better person, change myself, continue to reach my goals. I have goals of, obviously finances and work and career and my health and my weight and becoming a better person and my family goals, how I can be there for my family and then my future goals, etc. And obviously if I ever get in a relationship, my relationship goals, all that stuff. I want to have those goals and continue to set high aspirations for myself for these goals so that I'm able to achieve them and I'm able to grow. I had a really good friend ask me once why I was so scared to start for my goals or why I sometimes, I'm hesitant to start because I don't really like giving up ever, but there's a lot of times where I may not start a goal or where I don't think it's possible for me to do something. And I told him it's because I'm afraid that what if I do this thing and I work so hard and I achieve this goal, but nothing really changes? And he replied with, but what if you do it and everything changes? What then? And that kind of opened my entire world because I'm so scared of what if it didn't happen that I never realized the possibility of what if it did happen. And even if it doesn't happen, I still think that I would still grow from it and I would still learn and I would still become a better person and, you know, teach myself new things about myself that I didn't know. And so, although we may not always reach our goals, the fact that we even start to try them, and the fact that we go through the struggle and that we go through the process and the kind of the struggle and the suffering of reaching our goals, the fact that we're doing them essentially for ourselves at the end of the day is something that's very beautiful because you are purposefully putting yourself through something hard in order to make yourself better. And so even if I don't quote unquote reach my goal, I'm still getting better because I have grown as a person and I've grown these skills, right? And so me trying to shift everything in my life to that mindset has been one of my biggest goals and my biggest tasks that I've been doing. And so I don't want to make this video too long. So I'm kind of recapping everything I'm thinking and I know I've kind of been on a tangent, but I my goal essentially is to be a better person, but I can't be that if I'm very pessimistic because even if I do good, I don't think of myself as good. So how can I be more optimistic and not allow my mistakes to define me? I need to define who I am no matter what happens, remember that, and that way I am always true to myself. So I'm kind of making this video as a promise to myself that no matter what happens, I will remember who I am, who I want to be, why I'm doing this, and that I will no longer punish myself for my mistakes or my shortcomings, no matter how easy it is for me to do so. I will always keep moving forward. I think that's my goal. Thank you.